5 ways to meet people in real life. Welcome in, much love, Trav here as we talk about how to improve our social lives in the 21st century with our tribal brains. A lot of people write about this, ask questions about this, something I'm working on. So today, let's break it down into the real basics of a list of 5 ways that people actually meet people, and we'll talk about how they relate, how you can use them, and how they interact with each other. But the 5 ways that we meet each other is through groups, events, meetings, encounters, and living situations. So let's start off with groups. Groups are my preferred way to meet and probably the most natural way to meet people with our tribal brains. Something you should know is that before agriculture, obviously we've adapted afterwards, but stranger danger is a real thing. We're kind of used to living with the people we know, and we're meant to be on high alert when we're around people we don't know. So one of the ways around that is to have a group, which is any sort of people working together on something or learning the same thing or doing the same thing that come together on a regular basis. A group could be a class that you take, it could be a work that you go to every day, it could be a basketball team that you practice with 3 days a week. It could be a volunteer opportunity you go to weekly. It could be an organization you go to a Thursday night, etc., etc. It could be Friday night magic or a testing team. You know, those are examples of groups. And groups are great because they are repeat exposure to the same people, so you get to know people, you get introduced to people, you get to observe and be observed through group dynamics, which is how we like. Eventually, there's the majority of people there, and if a new person shows up, you can get introduced, and it becomes very easy. So if I ever move to anywhere that's new, I would just start off with groups, signing up for groups, going to groups, and going to the same thing every week. I would recommend you do the same if you are having a hard time meeting people. Just go to more groups. Number 2 thing, similar to groups, are events. Event is it's like a one-time thing. It could be a party, or it could be a show, or it could be a Grand Prix, like a tournament, or it could be a benefit, banquet or something. You know, an event is like a one-time thing, and it is pretty different because since it's one time, you aren't going to see the same people at the same thing. There isn't an opportunity to necessarily get to know everyone. It requires different social skills of getting introduced to strangers or approaching strangers. This is possibly out of order. We'll come back to it because I want to contrast it with the 4th thing, or the 3rd thing, I suppose, is encounters. An encounter is like if someone were to walk by right now, this guy, and I were to talk to him and say, "Yo, what's up, man? I just met this person through an encounter." Encounters require a totally different skill set because there's no group dynamic, and there's no chance of introduction, there's approach. Although repeated encounters, repeated exposure can make it easier if you go to the same places and you see the same people, you meet them through repeat encounters. An event is like a big encounter where there's like tons of people to encounter, and it can be good to go to an event from a meeting. We have another video I'm working on right now about social warm-ups, progression, where you like quote unquote pre-funk it, right? So difference from encounters is a meeting. A meeting is like a date, or is like a hangout, or is a meetup, and that's a good way to hang out with one person or a small group and get to know them a lot better, get introduced. And from meetings, it can be easier to go to groups or encounters. That's kind of the warm-up thing. Go for a walk this way to avoid this encounter right while I'm recording here. Now, the last one, which is important and is overlooked, sorry for the really shitty Humboldt cloud cover. I know it's incredibly dark, it doesn't look good, but opportunities, windows close unexpectedly. Number 5, living situations. Like, okay, how are you going to meet people through living situations? If you have cool roommates, maybe you don't know everyone before you move in and you meet a new person, or maybe you have cool roommates who bring over cool people and you meet them that way, or maybe you live in Airbnb and you meet people that way, or maybe you do Airbnb, or you rent out a room and you meet people that way, right? It's possible to just meet people through the house. So Those are basically the 5 ways of meeting people: groups, events, meetings, encounters, and living situations. And groups are super important. Living situations, something you have to think about. Go to more events, set up more meetings, and be friendlier in encounters, and you'll meet all sorts of people. It's possible to like specialize in certain areas. Like you hear about people who are kind of encounter specialists. I really would consider myself being more about groups, events, meetings, and living. I guess it's a mixed bag. Like we want to be meeting people through a bunch of different sources. So you pick any of these and work on it. Again, I recommend groups to start. Let me know what you think about this. Please write if this is useful, how you usually meet people, what of these you're going to use to improve your ability to meet people. And also let me know, please, if no one's commented on this, of like if it's harder to watch this video or click on it because of how dark it is. It's just approaching winter. It's fall, it's approaching winter time here, and this is going to be the norm. So much love, free life movement, free living goals. Speak soon.